Once upon a time there was a soul who forgot how infinite they were. They lived in a world made of shoulds and supposed tos, a maze of mirrors reflecting everyone else's approval. Parents, teachers, gods of imagined judgment. They wore masks layered so thick they forgot the warmth of their own skin. They followed the rules. They fit in. They did everything right, and somehow felt hollow as hell. They saw others, wild, untamed, unleashed. The musician who bled truth into sound. The dancer who became the rhythm. The actor who lost themselves to find something more real than self. Something inside whispered, "That's what free looks like." But the whisper was faint, drowned by the hum of fear. What if I'm too much? What if I'm not enough? One night, under a sky too large to ignore, the whisper became thunder. What if the approval I've been waiting for is already pulsing in my own heartbeat? That thought cracked something open. It wasn't polite. It wasn't tidy. But it was true. Because every cell of that body remembered something ancient. How stars are born from collapse. How chaos precedes creation. How the breaking is the blessing in disguise. Science would call it neuroplasticity. The moment the brain learns a new dance. Mystics call it awakening. Either way, something shifted. And so they jumped, not gracefully, more like a drunk god tripping over enlightenment. They didn't wait for permission, because permission is the soul's own signature. They started to act before they felt ready, to speak before they had approval, to move even when afraid. And that motion, that messy, glorious momentum, it was the spark that set the old program ablaze. The old voices fought back. The echoes of conformity. The ghosts of play it safe and don't be weird. Fear said, you'll fail. Shame said, you'll be alone. But courage, quiet, steady, unyielding said, you'll live. They found allies. Intuition sharpening like a blade, synchronicities appearing like breadcrumbs, dreams whispering encrypted guidance. The universe seemed to wink. You're finally paying attention. And then came the death, not of body, but of bullshit. The ego's scaffolding collapsed. The inner child sobbed, thinking authenticity was sin. But truth, fierce, unrelenting truth, said let it burn. From the ashes rose something not new, but remembered. A version of them who no longer needed to prove, who no longer served from guilt, but from overflow. They realized healing isn't fixing, it's remembering wholeness. Abundance isn't earning, it's flow. War ends the moment you stop fighting yourself. Energy returned, vibrant, clean, electric. They spoke different now, with resonance, not rhetoric. People felt them before they spoke. They didn't teach by talking. They transmitted by being. Science calls it coherence. Heart and brain syncing to produce electromagnetic harmony. Mystics call it frequency upgrade. But you and I know, it's simply presence. They stopped chasing the divine, because they realized they were it, experiencing itself through the adventure of being human. They came back to the ordinary world, but nothing was ordinary anymore. The same streets shimmered. The same faces glowed. Every problem became a portal. Every wound, a womb of creation. They had become medicine, a living transmission of everything they once sought. And when people asked, "How did you do it?" they just smiled and said, "I finally stopped waiting for permission." Neuroscience says the mind rewires itself through repeated pattern interruption. Energy work says frequency entrains to the highest vibration available. Psychology says identity shapes behaviour. Spirit says they're all describing the same thing. When you align truth with action, when you stop outsourcing validation, when you let yourself feel instead of think about feeling, you shift your timeline. That's not magic. It's physics meeting faith halfway. Now, wherever they go, they carry a permission slip for everyone they meet, written in the unshakable frequency of authenticity, a reminder, you're the prophecy, you're the permission, you're the miracle you were waiting for. And as they walk, you can almost hear the whisper ripple through existence. Wake up, love. The show must go on.